Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're all having a wonderful Tuesday, and thank you so much for attending our Be Kinder, Be Better coming out of quarantine video session. I'd like to welcome all of our members and partners, and for all of our non-members in attendance, just so you know, we here at 50,000 Foot, we were created to let independent consultants and small consultant firms who are looking to collaborate on projects, expand their business, and work together as a community. If you are interested or a consultant, make sure to, after this video session, of course, register at 50,000foot.com. But mainly, let me get to our host today, Steffi Black. If you don't know, or if you haven't seen all of our marketing, or wonderful marketing that we've been doing out this week, Steffi empowers people to create forward momentum in their lives and careers. She helps companies to create more caring and connected cultures, and she uses those skills and the skills of being a former VP of marketing and now as a strategic life and career coach to run workshops and keynotes on why kindness matters. And she also founded and hosts Connection Corner, a virtual online support group for women as they make career and life changes. Today, we'll be discussing self-compassion in your life and career, marketing and sales tips for yourself and your business, and much more. And during the session, your camera isn't necessary, but there will be some moments where Steffi is going to open the floor for questions. Please stay muted, and during the question period, just type in the comment section. I'll make sure to read those out to Steffi, and she'll answer as many as she can. If we don't get to all of your questions today, there will be a follow-up email where we will send you a recording of today's video for any of those who need to jump off early, or if somebody you know may not have made it today, and we will try and get to all the questions we missed during the question period. So just be sure to look for that email for all answered questions and the recording of today's video. And now, with a final thank you, and without further ado, thank you so much, Steffi. I'm happy to have you here, and I will pass the ball off to you.
Wonderful, Colin. Thank you so much for the warm introduction. And it's been incredible dealing with the team. And this is a team and a group that cares about other people. So the title of my talk today, Next Steps, a Guide to Self-Compassion and Your Life and Career Strategy. Why self-compassion? Because when we are compassionate to ourselves, we are so much more powerful in our lives and in our businesses. My brand, Be Kinder, Be Better. Why? When we are kinder to ourselves, we are better. And in this time of being in the pandemic, it is so important to have self-compassion as you move through this time and keep your energy grounded and centered. And it's important to understand that we will move through all sorts of emotions of anger, sadness, loss, and the more we are kind to ourselves, the better we are overall. So let's get started with an overview of the agenda. Remember, I will share some of the information that is important to you, and if you didn't catch it all, I'll deal with Colin and Trevor to share some of the resources sheets. So let's get started on our agenda. Our agenda focuses on self-care and compassion. I will share 3 simple tips as we move ahead. As we all know, the world has stopped on many levels, and we can regroup and leave old habits behind. Never before in our lifetime, in my lifetime, has the world stopped. Has it been difficult? Yes, but it is also a chance to go inward and come out stronger. So I will share those tips on self-compassion. I will share methods for forward momentum and create powerful new steps to intuitive and purpose-led living. So many of us live with our heads, our intellect. Many of you are successful in what you do, but it is time in moving ahead to connect more to our hearts. The 2008 financial crisis led to an explosion of purpose-led businesses. What can this time of the pandemic lead to in change and transformation in your own life? And one of the ways we start with that is self-compassion. And I talk about a method for forward momentum is choosing a ritual. And I'll go over some very simple rituals, and I look forward to hearing from any of you who already have some right now. And then we'll go to self-care moving ahead as you pivot in this time to regroup either in your career or building new business. So let's get started. The first tool of self-compassion, acknowledgement. Seems so simple, doesn't it? But often we push away what is going on in us and we don't actually look it in the face and be in it. We are not alone in this pandemic, as we all know. And by pausing and recognizing this unusual experience, we can regroup. Pause. Even the word itself is peaceful. Often in our days, we keep going at a fast pace. Whether we are working now or not, we keep ourselves busy with our monkey mind and moving forward at a fast pace in our technological world. But by pausing, reflecting, and regrouping, we are much more powerful. New routines are called for. As life has changed, it's important to have structures and new routines and rituals. And last but not least, keep it simple. Pay attention to simplicity and clarity as you move ahead, not the noise of what you should be doing, but the inward peace and presence of what will let you know what's next properly. So let's go for, oh, I skipped ahead, just a sec. I'll move ahead. My first tool, acknowledgement. Let me go to my second tool for self-compassion, mindfulness and breath. Right now, I ask you all to take one deep breath. We often don't breathe properly in our day. To strengthen your connection to your intuition, your creative intelligence, meditation and breath are two of the most powerful tools. Deep breaths in your day relax the nervous system. A walk in nature, and if you're not capable of going for a long walk, even looking out the window, experiencing the fresh air can connect you to your quiet, calm, creative intelligence. Once again, living with the heart and not with the mind. A guided meditation, even 2 minutes a day, can make a profound difference in your life. I work with many clients who have never meditated or used mindfulness in their life. And even if you can do a deep breath, that makes a difference. And that's why I asked you for that pause. Let me share with you an interesting statistic from appreciative coaching study that came out. They say your well-being depends on 50% genetics, half genetics, that's fine, 10% circumstances, but 40% is your internal state of mind. I don't know about you, but I thought that was a pretty powerful statistic, that 40% of my well-being depends upon my internal state of mind. Now remember, meditation is not about improving yourself. You are already good. Meditation is about quieting the mind. And if you're not a meditator, you can go to a peaceful breath and a pause in your day. As the well-known meditation teacher Jon Kabat-Zinn shares in the title of one of his books, wherever you go, there you are. So in this time, we are forced to be more in isolation and more alone. And it absolutely is that difficult and challenging. And that's why self-compassion is so important. But it is also a time to learn to go inward and heal ourselves. I'll share with you a quick story of a gentleman who had an unorthodox way of healing himself. You see, when we calm down our nervous system, which has been engaged, our sympathetic nervous system has been engaged because of COVID-19, and we're all living with low levels of anxiety. Mindfulness takes us, and deep breath takes us back into our body connection. It's not our mind we have to relax, it's our body. So this gentleman, Dr. Hugh Len, who is a practitioner of something called Ho'oponopono, which is written about in the well-known book called Zero Limits, was asked to cure a ward of mentally and criminally insane. He told the hospital he wouldn't use the usual methods of therapy and talk therapy. He told them he would work on himself as he was there. He would heal himself of all the negative anger and frustration and all the energy around. And he would take each patient's file and say their name and heal what he believed was in them was in him. Meaning we are all interconnected. You can believe that's pretty far-fetched, or you can believe that the world closed down in 2 years. Why? Because he healed himself. It's called emotional contagion. And we all have the ability in this time to learn, rituals and routines that keep us grounded and calm. In appreciative coaching studies, it has been proven that 90%, 95%, of how we act and make how we act and make decision often occurs non-consciously. That's why we want to connect more to our mind body, not just our intellect, today and moving ahead. And let me share with you a small exercise in mindfulness that's quite powerful. It's called RAIN. I don't know if any of you have heard of the teacher Tara Brach. In fact, she has a free live stream on Wednesdays on Facebook, and it's a pretty powerful tool. RAIN is when you have a difficult emotion. Let's say you're a consultant and you're nervous about what happens out of this COVID and how the government is going to respond and how we're going to deal with different types of people. Acknowledge it. Recognize what is happening. Allow the experience to be there just as it is. And here's where the self-compassion part comes in. Investigate it with interest and care. Why am I nervous about this next stage? What am I needing? Well, I'm needing clarity of what will happen with my business. How can I get clarity? And that's where you use the tools and resources at your disposal, or an organization, let's say 50,000 Foot, that helps consultants bring together their resources and find knowledge and share tips on moving ahead out of this. Even though we may feel alone, we are not alone. So nourish with self-compassion. Let's review the steps. Acknowledge the voice, the doubt, the worry, the fear. When we feel sorry for ourselves, well-known teacher Pema Chodron calls it the squeeze. We want to run away from it. We don't want to be in it. But in isolation, we are forced to be in it. So allow, investigate, and nurture. Instead of going to victim, you can learn from discomfort. Instead of going to busyness and distractive behavior, you can move through it. So let me ask you something. What are you learning from this time that needs to heal? We actually have the biggest opportunity maybe in a long time to investigate and nourish and nurture. And RAIN is one of the principles of mindfulness, to be kind and compassionate to ourselves instead of self-critical. Now I ask you to come along with me. We're going to do a short mindfulness exercise. Remember, those of you who don't like meditation or don't feel comfortable with it, use the breath or use a mind-body exercise. So I'll ask you to close your eyes, keep your feet planted wherever you are. If you're in a chair or stool, feel free to cross your feet, but if your feet are dangling, close your eyes. Don't try to relax your mind. Relax your body, and your mind will follow. Breathe in, use that breath that relaxes the nervous system. If you are sitting in a chair, feel connected and supported by the chair you are in. Rest both your feet comfortably on the ground and focus on how each point feels where your soles touch the ground. Don't try to visualize it, feel it. Imagine your whole body, including your shoulders, becoming loose and relaxed. Mentally scan the points where the body touches the chair and feel your seat and hips. But don't try to visualize it, feel it. Is there tension in your hips? Is there tension in your shoulders? Breathe into it and relax it with the breath. This small exercise, give me 1 or 2 more breaths. Now open your eyes. If you do just that one small exercise in a day, you will feel the difference. I wake up every morning, ideally at 6 or 6:30. I come downstairs, I do some rituals, and I do a meditation. There's no sense in doing it alone if you're not comfortable. The beauty of our free resources, including YouTube and mindfulness apps like Calm and the Oak, give us 2 minutes of getting out of our heads and back into our mind-body connection. Doing something like this takes us out of useless thoughts and more into centering and grounding. If we can learn a tool again during this time that takes us there, we are so much more powerfully. We have the ability to connect even deeper in our conversations. I don't know if any of you have noticed, but I have. We are listening deeper in our conversations. We are giving more presence when we are connecting because we are all in this together. And moving out of this time by connecting more to your calm, centered, grounding self, you can be more powerfully present as we move out of the pandemic. Let's share the third tool, self-compassion. How do you talk to yourself? We are often our own worst critic. That does us no good. We are messy human beings, and I mean we have many traits, good and bad. Both are integral to us, and both need to be acknowledged, inquire, nurture, and move on. When we ruminate about things, we lose focus and energy. So the first step and the third tool in self-compassion, talk to yourself as you would a good friend. I use an example here. I should be doing more. I should be making more connections. I should be bringing in more business. Your compassionate, mindful voice says, I am doing my best. The book, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, which some of you may know, and which is an excellent book on core values. His last value, just do your best. You may be sick, ill, disabled, suffering. Just do your best at the time. And in this time, some of us are working at 70% capacity, even if we are busy. There is collective anxiety. So all we can do is be our best. And the critical voice, I should be getting more. The empowering voice, I am doing what I can. And leave the burdens and focus on what can be possible while acknowledging what you're going through. Let me share you the story. Some of you may have heard of two women and a monk. And sorry, one woman and two monks. A woman was crossing a river and she stood beside two monks who had taken a vow never to touch a woman. She asked if they could carry her across. She was a beautiful young woman. The younger monk looked at the older monk. Do we do this? We've taken a vow. The older monk paused, reached over, put the woman on his shoulders, and carried her across the river. For 2 or 3 hours, they walked together and didn't talk. The younger monk was a little shocked at his actions. 3 hours later, he burst out, why did you do this? The older monk turned to him and said, Brother, I set her down on the other side of the river. Why are you still carrying this? So allow thoughts that pull you down to leave you, acknowledge and nurture them, and move forward with equanimity and balance in your day. And how you do that is with those 3 tools of self-compassion is one way, and incorporating a ritual is another. So here's some simple rituals. And I'd love you to think about some of you, what you do in your day and what you can incorporate. We talked about meditation practice. We talked about deep breaths. Walks in nature. Why walks in nature? It's been proven by connecting to nature, we actually calm our nervous system. Gardeners might know this fact. If you put your hand in dirt, you lower your cortisol and you increase your serotonin. There are so many reasons that we have an opportunity to connect to nature more. A gratitude journal. Most of you know the statistics of how gratitude makes a difference. Every night before I go to bed, I write one thing I am grateful for. It's been proven to change us. No matter how much you are suffering, no matter how difficult you are finding this time, if you can take a moment by writing down one point of gratitude, it makes such a difference. Also, keep your energy free of a lot of news. It can be toxic hearing all the bad news, what's going on. I get an email called The Bullet, and it's simply a capsule of everything that's going on that is important to me in my business and important to me in my day. And it also ends off with a positive news story and something to be grateful for, because it knows we need that. So if you are listening to the news, and I understand you need to know what's going on for your business, make sure you lessen it before them. Don't have it in your morning, and they say don't have it at night, because you want to have a peaceful start and a peaceful end to your day. And I also share here regular schedule, including mindful activities. I'm happy to share with any of you a daily schedule that I bring in for clients that includes life and career momentum, but basically sets out your rituals for your day. And so I ask you all now, and those of you who are comfortable, and Colin can moderate this, is my reflection for you is, what can you do? What ritual do you have now or that you can incorporate in your day? Can any of you share with me a ritual you have or a ritual you would like to incorporate? And I'll ask Colin to review that, so I'll give you a minute. If any of you can share a ritual you have that keeps you calm and connected and grounded.
Oh, Steffi, we have one from Roxana. I started yoga, hadn't tried it before the crisis, and actually, Roxana, I did the exact same thing.
What has the difference been for you, Roxana, and or Colin, in starting this yoga practice?
For myself, Steffi, I'll give Roxana time to answer. For myself, yoga it's something that I've always wanted to try. I know a lot of people, especially in Toronto, that practice, and it's something that, like a workout, you can incorporate it as stretching and just put it in through your day, but it's a section of the day where you can just relax. You only focus on the yoga, what you're doing, and have a thought in your head that you're focusing on, or if there was something during the day that maybe you were working on a project and there was just one bit that was you couldn't settle on, you didn't know what you wanted to go or where you wanted to go. While I'm doing yoga, I just think about that and think about the ways that I can accomplish that task.
So you use it for relaxing your mind on projects.
Exactly. And we actually had two more two more answers to your question come in. One is
Wonderful.
practicing mindful meditation every day and writing in my gratitude journal from Mimosa. Catherine,
Beautiful.
I swim every morning by myself. It's the perfect peaceful start to my day. Very true.
Very
And
true.
Roxana's answer to starting yoga, learning something new keeps me motivated, and I'm also happy to see I'm able to keep my balance.
I can understand that one. I can understand that. That's wonderful. And it's wonderful that some people, like Catherine, has swim. And one of them mentioned meditation, that someone is doing a meditation practice right now.
Yes, mimosa. And we have a couple more I'll quickly get to. Paloma, I work out every morning for 1 hour. That makes me feel
Wow.
energized and strength.
Yeah.
We have Laura. I used to journal about one thing at the end of every day that was a pleasant experience to create a habit of noticing the positive and less on the negative and neutral. This talk is inspiring me to go back to that ritual. Thank you. Oh,
It's
and
lovely. I think, sorry, go ahead.
no, you can answer. Then there was just one more answer after that.
But I just think Laura writes down something that makes her feel good, that the author of Mind Hacking talks about, until it's on paper, it's vapor. So when we write something down, we commit to it, whether it's a business plan or something in our life that is a ritual that matters to us. Somehow it can be more powerful when we write it. I think some of you know the story of Jim Carrey, who was pretty poor at the beginning of his career and in his life, and had a time where he lived out of a car. And he wrote a check to himself for was it $10 million? I think it was $10 million, that figure. And 10 years to the day when he was cast in Dumb and Dumber, he received $10 million. Pretty amazing. He committed to the energy of writing it down and believing that something good would happen. I just think that's unbelievable, that by writing down, the power that comes to commitment. And did I interrupt anyone else who wanted to share, Colin?
Just finally, our very own Trevor, he said, I take a long, peaceful walk with my family and dog twice a day to enjoy nature and my family.
I love that, Trevor. Walks in nature are incredibly powerful on so many levels. Nature already knows it's connected. It's always known it's interconnected. And in this time, the environment has gotten better, hasn't it? It is human beings who forget our interconnection. Did you know that when a tree dies in a forest, it gives its nutrients to the other trees? And I think when we connect to nature, we connect to something more powerful than ourselves, and our creative intelligence is increased. And it's a very powerful tool. And I noticed when I watched the documentary on Inside Bill Gates's Mind that he too does a walk in a forest every day. So thank you to all of you who took the time to share. And I give Paloma credit for doing an hour workout. That's a good long time. My meditation is usually about 20 minutes. So to devote an hour of time is fantastic. So Colin, I'll move ahead if that's all right to the next section.
Go on ahead. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you everybody for sharing. By sharing, it reminds us of the power of ritual and keeps us motivated to do that. And something that I was trained in that I'm just going to share a little bit as we move ahead was solutions-focused coaching. And solutions-focused coaching, what I love about the philosophy, and I believe in that in moving ahead in our lives, it is future-focused. It reminds us of our resourceful past. What have you done in your life, either moving countries, leaving a toxic relationship, leaving a toxic career, and starting again? And remember looking back and how scary and anxiety-provoking it was, but you did it. Solutions focus always reminds us to focus on our resourceful past so we can move towards our preferred future. Even if you struggle during this time of wondering what is next, remember to focus on your resilient past to move you towards your preferred future. And learning to calm the mind leads to more intuition and creative thought and creative connections. You watch what happens in your energy as you calm and ground. Eckhart Tolle often says, why worry? Creatively problem solve. I love that. If you have an issue, don't ruminate and worry about. Creatively problem solve, as Colin does in yoga. Pick your time to do it, but don't let it focus throughout your day as much as possible. And then the last line I leave here, imagine things as you would like has already here. So if you would like great opportunities coming out of this pandemic, start imagining it. Einstein always knew the power of imagination, and he was a brilliant scientist, as we all knew, but he thought imagination was more powerful than intellect. So try to use each day to think about your ideal day coming out of this. And a question I'll ask, which I think is very important, I think we've frozen here. Let's see. I love technology when it works. There we go. There we go. I'll just go back. Bear with me, everybody. It unfroze for me. Thank you, Zoom. Before we move on to finishing up on the tips for self-compassion and rituals, one thing I would like you to consider in your new day. What are your core values? So many times, many companies and people don't know for what they stand. And it is so important to differentiate between your core values, which is what we intrinsically believe in, and our acquired values. There's wonderful research done by Sanka Holzer on the difference in that we as human beings operate with two completely different value systems, core and acquired. Once again, core values are one's intrinsic, inherent guiding principles. Acquired values, listen to this, are those we adopt along the way. Our culture, our society, our family, those are all acquired values, and they take up a lot of noise in our life. And people that follow just acquired values have more peaks and valleys. Sanka proved it in her work. Those of us who know our core values, what you stand for, are so much more powerfully present. We don't get pulled into peer pressure and society pressure if we stand tall on what our core values are. So if I have a quick moment, I would like to ask this question. I'm going to share, bear with me here, a few core values. This one is truth. There is service. There is simplicity. There is joy. There is kindness. there is fairness, and there is loyalty. What is a core value that is important to you? And coming out of this presentation, think about your core values as opposed to your acquired values and live to those. When I work with clients and companies, we often talk about core values, and I'll be asking about this a little later on in the presentation. But I thought that was fascinating work, that most of us live according to our acquired values, what our family, our culture, our society thinks is important. What do you think is important? Live to that, and you live a much more peaceful and contented life. Now, deep breath. Every time you move into a new project, a new conversation, how often do you take a breath? How often do you pause? Most of us don't. By the end of the day, whether we know it or not, our shoulders are up to our ears. That's why here in this presentation, I've asked us to take a time out with a pause. There's a reason the movement and the psychology group Action for Happiness asked us all to start taking a daily pause at this time. It takes us back to present. It takes us back to our intuition. Once again, not thinking with here, but thinking with here. So pay attention to what you really want, not what you don't want. When you pause, you do that. Where our attention goes, our energy grows. So thank you for the pause within this presentation, and feel free to take a stretch break, move around. In the company I go into on Tuesdays, I incorporated a stretch and breathing break because everybody works so hard and sits at their desk that they're getting the shoulders hunched over, they're not sitting properly, their posture isn't good. So always regroup and reset within your day. Now I'm going to move into the new frontier, which is more a few simple business tips as we move ahead in your life out of the pandemic. We talked about vision and core values. Now I'm going to bring in, or invite, if he's up for it, Trevor Poplar, the co-founder of 50,000 Foot. First, I will talk about what vision and goals, why they're important. What are your vision and goals for your company? People think they know them. But out of this time, we have a chance to review and regroup. What do you truly stand for? We talked about our core values in our lives. We talked about the difference between core and acquired. What are your core values in your business? And what is your unique selling point? If you do your homework at this time on what is going on in the marketplace, where can you pivot the business to serve the changes in the marketplace? Have you pivoted to serve the new reality? Review all your online communications. It's amazing how many people don't do that. Your website, your social media, if you have one, your Google My Business page. Doesn't have to be complicated, but review it, take the time, and make sure it is clear. You can't be everything to everyone. If you are clear on what you offer, then your clients are clear on how you solve their pain point. And if you are connecting with clients now, maybe their budgets are cut or slowed down. But if you have been a resource during this pandemic, believe me, they will consider you moving ahead. So remember that as you move ahead, know your vision and goals. What do you stand for? Is it clear? And how do you describe yourself and your brand? So I'm going to put him on the spot. Trevor, if I can ask you to share, what is the vision and your mission of 50,000 Foot?
Yeah, absolutely. More than happy to share. The
Thank
vision
you.
of 50,000 Foot is to create a community and platform that helps from the independent consultant and small firm perspective. Most organizations you work with are from the business perspective. We are working to help the independent consultant create a lifelong successful career, providing products, services, and partners for them, and driving positive change in the community. That's our mission. And that is near and dear to our heart, coming from myself and our co-founder, Trent, who has been an independent consultant for a little over 20 years.
Thank you, Trevor. So
No problem.
did you want to add to that? I don't want to interrupt.
I was just going to give you a couple of values that are really
Please,
important to
please.
our business. I think what's really important across our business, if we look at the values that we share amongst our team, we are very committed to collaboration amongst the community. We are very supportive, but drive personal accountability, be good citizens in supporting the independent consultants in what they're trying to do, and create win-win partnerships to help, again, create sustainability in a very complex and very flexible career path.
Very nice. And you worked together with your team to create something that felt authentic and clear to your brand?
We hope so, absolutely. We feel that we are driving something unique that the market needs, which is an ability to reach independent consultants and small consulting firms and provide them with ways in which they can establish a long-term sustainable career.
Beautiful. Thank you, Trevor, for being put on the spot like that. I appreciate it.
No problem.
And I think as I mentioned, after the financial crisis of 2008, more businesses became purpose-driven. And Trevor and his team seem to know their core values and mission and understand how they can help people and care about helping people. I've noticed that from the beginning in dealing with them, and even sharing this presentation today, their whole team got behind it and it felt like a whole team was supporting it and everybody was involved. And I think if we work for companies where everybody comes together with their vision and values, we feel so much more connected to it. In the work I do with corporations in creating a more caring and connected culture, we want to understand the vision. We don't just want to have it up on a wall. We want to feel we are connected to the vision, and we personally are connected to the vision. And companies like 50,000 Foot that do that create a very connected culture. And I connected with the gentleman too today from Mind Valley. We reached out on LinkedIn, and I was very impressed by Mind Valley, another company that teaches personal growth and development. And it seems to me that within their culture, they're constantly doing things to empower the individual. Remember, at this time, if you empower yourself, you will empower companies you work with. It's once again emotional contagion. So thank you, Trevor, for sharing that. Let's talk about the new plan for moving ahead. There's a few steps I suggest when I work with people and companies or individuals. During this time, I talked about knowing and being able to communicate your skills, your strong profile. Can you say it out loud, as Trevor did today? Can you share what you stand for so somebody knows, okay, I get it. I know what 50,000 Foot does. I know what this person is capable of. If you're a virtual assistant and you do behind the scenes work, how do you share and convey that? Whatever you are, if you're a business operations expert, how do you convey that to the company and your community? Phase one is the market research, which most of you have already done in doing your business. I say go at it again during the pandemic. What is happening out there? What has changed? How are companies going to deal with video? I'm here talking to you on video today. How are departments going to train their staff? Is it going to be more online than offline? And how comfortable are you with that? Phase two, focus and validation. How are you competitive for these spots? And why in the field would people choose you? Phase three, business development. Right now, companies may not be hiring, some are, and we're moving closer to more hiring and development in business. And if you are offering to help during this time, you strengthen your position in the marketplace. And I'm going to ask one of the attendees to share, and her name is Roxana. She can introduce herself and what she does if she's open to jumping in too. And Roxana has used this time while we've been in the pandemic to share expertise on remote working and training teams. And I think that is a wonderful way to pivot your brand. If you're not as in demand, how are you sharing your expertise behind the scenes or in social media? And is it okay for Roxana to come on and share what she's been doing during this time?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Steffi.
Absolutely, Roxana.
So, yeah, for me, because what I do is my vision, talking about the vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
I help build game-changing teams for innovative workplaces. And I found myself going straight into production mode when the whole crisis hit us, because I thought, okay, I need to let's see what I can do to help those people that need my help right now. And I was so happy to see, talking to team leaders or managers or founders of companies, that they wanted to motivate and engage their teams during this time. And for me, that was awesome to see, because I didn't see, talking about 2008. I didn't see that now. I didn't see that then. I see it now. People are looking at what they can do to help their teams, to help all of the team members stay engaged and stay focused and stay motivated, and share what they can do for each other and what they still can do with each other, and how they can work best even though they are apart. So what I did
Mm-hmm.
was uh, put together some videos. I did some webinars on team engagement and motivation, and I was working with them depending on what they needed. So some companies maybe needed something like, let us know how we can focus, because we are all at home right now.
Mm-hmm.
I can't find my place. I can't find my focus, and I still need to work. This is not the usual work from home. This is, we're
No.
all at home trying to work, right?
So true.
I was happy to share all of some tips that I had for them to be able to stay engaged and be able to stay focused or communicate with each other. We're all used to communicating in the office. What do you do when you don't go to the office anymore and you don't know what each of your colleagues are doing at the moment? So how do you keep communication channels open? What are those communication channels that you can use? What works for us as a team? So I was very, very excited to be able to help them and feel that energy of sharing and being engaged in learning new ways of working. And I'm so happy to see that a lot of companies look at what they can do for their people to be able to work better together.
Absolutely, Roxana. Thank you for sharing that. And Roxana was the person who introduced me to 50,000 Foot, and she is a constant connector and sharer of other people's businesses and resources. When we pay it forward, it comes back. And when you are offering to help other businesses, they think of you in the future too. And Roxana has done that many times and trains many people in working with remote teams, and has a TED talk on building your skill muscle. So think of pivoting this time to offer to help where you can, and you watch what comes out of it. That is a beautiful way to business development for your company and for your career. And last but not least, let's talk about the marketing development. And thank you, Roxana, for sharing that. I should have said that first of all. Much appreciated.
Sure, you're welcome.
And then business development and marketing development. Review your online channels. Now, I will confess, I have my own mixed relationship with social media at 53, and my teens seem to have it down packed. Many of us feel a little shy sometimes on social media, and that is understandable. But if you share your authentic voice, you know your values, you know your niche, then just share authentically. We don't need to worry about likes or comments. We just need to share what our story and brand is, and people will slowly come on board. If they feel you are authentic, they listen much more. And you don't have to do it all. You can't be everything to everybody, but you can focus on a few things that are good for your marketing and stay with that. Consistency leads to mastery. Let's go forward to the next part. Oh, and I'm frozen again. So let's see if it will help me in a minute. Oh, there we go. Hold on. There we go. Once again, it's about connection, not perfection. So let me review the three the 3 R's for planning ahead for your business or career. Review, regroup, and reboot. Look at what has worked in your marketing strategy with a new plan, and remember, keep your ideal persona company in mind. Think of them as you do it, just like writing your ideal day personally. Keep an ideal type of person, company in your mind as you go forward. Feel their pain. Create a simple daily, weekly plan that incorporates your new routines. And I'm a big fan of a SMART chart, which stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound goals, because everything is set out for you. And speaking of that, I'm a big fan of mastermind groups and helping people grow together. And I believe 50,000 Foot is also going to be offering their consultants mastermind groups so they can work and grow together. So it's wonderful to have a forum that you can choose to help you as you grow your business. And if you are not part of a 50,000 Foot on your own life, who can keep you motivated and going? You do not need to do it alone, and it helps to have someone keep you going in your goals. Let's talk about the social media plan. There are many channels. We know them. It gets overwhelming. Pinterest, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. Pick 2 or 3. Do them well. You don't need to be everywhere, but if your authentic story is told, you can do those well. I like LinkedIn for business to business. I think it's brilliant for connections. I think it's brilliant for sharing what is needed in the business world, and you can share it in a heartfelt way. So LinkedIn is powerful for business and individuals and career development too. And I think Facebook is more personal and sharing a story and something you want to share. Now, Instagram is very powerful for some individuals, but it's more a visual medium. So personally, I stick with Facebook, LinkedIn, and do a little bit of Twitter. And here is the handle of 50,000 Foot, which brand is clear for both those channels. So pick 2 or 3 channels. And what I do is Sunday night, I think about what my theme is for the week. I don't make it complicated. I'm not spending a lot of money. Social media is a free platform that can be powerful for you if you feel comfortable. And I write Sunday night one theme, and one day is tips. Another day is sharing possibly a short blog, though I don't take a lot of time. And I've started experimenting more with video because that is the medium that is growing. So think about what shares your expertise well. And if you were shy about social media, revisit your relationship to it. It can be a powerful tool for sharing your expertise and knowledge. And not only that, it's a powerful connection tool. I connected with 2 more people this morning because of this presentation, and it was wonderful to connect to 2 interesting people, and I hope to follow up and nurture that connection. If we support each other, it's incredible what can happen. So think of social media as your friend instead of an adversary you have to get used to. And just keep it very simple with your channels. And I'll share an excellent resource. It's called HubSpot. And they have very many free resources for a social media plan. And don't forget about joining LinkedIn groups if you're looking to expand your reach. Find the group that tailors to your niche and join it and comment and engage with other people. The connections that have been made from that are incredible. And now, because you can't keep straight all the connections, I'm going to try and move forward. And my screen keeps freezing, everybody, so I apologize. Let's see if we can move it forward again. There we go. Let me go back. Okay. From your connections. How do you keep straight all those connections you meet in your life? And how do you nurture a business that is soft and not ready to buy and follow up again? One of the most powerful tools is I took a detour in my career and was an agent for a company that became incredibly successful. And it was basically lists and a script. And we would always work with 3 main target lists. Who are your first connections? The customers whom you serve, those who know and are loyal to you. That is one list. Your customers you could serve. Second, connections. Who do you know in your first connections who can introduce you to your second? As we move out of this pandemic, This can be an incredibly powerful time to reach out to those you know and ask them to introduce you to those you don't know but would like to be connected to. Right now, we are moving ahead, and it is actually a good time to nurture those connections. And third, and often neglected, never forget family and friends. You're looking for work, you're wanting to build your connections. Don't be shy about sharing with family and friends in an email. By the way, everybody, as we move out of this time, I just want to remind you that I'm a business operations specialist, and I'm really excited about targeting companies in technology, just keeping you in the loop. And if there's anyone you think I should connect to, I would love to hear it. More times than not, somebody will connect you to the person. And if you are clear and clean in what you offer, it can even be in a grocery store or a cafe. When you're talking to someone, what do you do? What do I do? If you feel so compelling, I have received business out of having a conversation in the strangest places. So be clear and clean on what you offer, and then offer it out to those you know. With those lists, you can develop an email newsletter and develop your sales strategy from it. I also work with something in Canada. I'll give the American version and the Canadian version. In Canada, Canada Newswire has a holiday calendar, and I work with the themes in that calendar to promote certain things. So because I go to companies and speak about kindness, I find out when Anti-Bullying Day, I find out when Random Acts of Kindness Week is happening. There is something in your niche that always pertains to something going on in the world. You can use that information to share your content. And you can get the American calendar from nationaldaycalendar.com. And I'm happy to share that if any Americans want that after. Let's go to the business development tips. In my years in sales and marketing, the best tips were always the simplest. And moving ahead, whatever we are looking to do, increase our company, increase our work, look for a new opportunity. The key is to focus less on talking and more on listening. In sales, 80% of effort should go to gathering information and asking good quality questions. Susan McVeigh has the top 5 secrets to success. Always be in service. Don't sell or coach. Ask questions. If you're looking for business, find out their pain point and ask them about it. Empathize with it before you share your own expertise. Be the leader. List down the expectations you have for your call and listen to their issues. It's called radical listening. Put yourself in someone else's shoes and they can feel it. It's like talking to a good friend. If they feel you're listening, the conversation is so much more satisfying. It's the same in sales. We're really trying to help other people. So by listening and understanding their pain point, they are much more inclined to work with someone like you. And number 3, be sold on you. Once again, be clear on what you offer. And my lovely thing wants to freeze again. So we'll go back. And number 4, be unattached to the results. Remember this one. I think this is so powerful and people forget. If they're not going to work with you, they're not interested in help right now in marketing strategy or business or financial or data mining, but they like you and they feel in the conversation you listened and understood what they were going through, they are much more likely to consider you for business down the road. And that's why you keep those lists in a place and you keep track of your conversation. So if company A wasn't looking to buy from you right now, but they enjoyed your conversation, you connected on LinkedIn, and maybe are part of the groups they are a part of, you can nurture that connection. So let's get our egos out of the way and continue to help and pay it forward, knowing that the business that may say no right now could say yes in the future. And always, always use a proven script to help increase conversion. The scripts can keep you clean and clear. And I like them whenever I'm going to talk to companies on why they want to bring in a speaker to talk about kindness in the workplace. Let's review the main points. Create your new plan, your life, career, daily plan beside you with your rituals, your SMART chart for your goals, objectives, and tasks. That's your long-term vision of where you want to go. And if you have a mastermind group or a partner who keeps you accountable, you're on the right track. Self-compassion tools. incorporating a new daily ritual, which can include meditation, breath work, and in that daily plan, your simple schedule. And remember, as you move ahead, always consider your ideal day or your preferred future exercise. During this time, before we are totally out, think about your ideal day and commit it to paper. And I'm going to share with you the schedule of Trevor Blake, who has written the 5-hour workday in 3 simple steps. He has incredible value in the marketplace and is incredibly successful, but he has a very simple ritualized day. And interestingly, his name is Trevor too, and he also walks twice a day. So I'll go back, there we go. Look at his simple day. He gets up, he wakes up, he meditates till 7:30, cup of tea and walk in nature. That's where he gets his creative intelligence, no checking of technology. He enters the office and checks the list, begins the first task, switches on his devices not till then, works from 9:30 to 11, has a break, lunch, works again, walks in nature again, and returns to the office. He has built 4 companies in less than 20 years for a combined valuation of more than 500 million. Not everybody can have a 5-hour workday, but most of us can be more simple and clear in how our workday and our rituals are incorporated in our day. Here are some of the resources I mentioned today: the learning and the meditation, the sales and business development, and I also have a simple plan example. And remember, out of this time comes the possibility for quiet but powerful change on so many levels. But we must be self-compassionate as we move through this time. We have a chance to prepare for what we truly want out of this time. But we need to acknowledge and nurture what scares us and what is new. And that remember that we are all in this together. So please focus on something that takes you out of worry and helps you creatively problem solve. And one way I've known that to do that in my life and the people I work with is a simple plan with rituals, deep breaths, and connecting to nature, and a clear and streamlined stance on what my core values are in my life and in my work. And I wish that for all of you as you move ahead out of the pandemic, that your preferred future is coming your way. So thank you very much today for listening to my sharing on self-compassion during this time. And I'll turn it back over to the 50,000-foot team. And I appreciate you all out of your day taking time to hear self-compassion tools at this time.
Thank you, Steffi.
Absolutely,
We
Colin.
are...
And Trevor, sorry, absolutely, Trevor.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for taking your time today to share this information with the team. I've written down a lot of notes. There is a lot of information I think everybody can take from this presentation today. We are very appreciative of your support. We want to thank all attendees, all of our members
Yes.
and partners that were here to support this session. Thank you very much. For individuals that are new to our community, please come to 50,000 Foot, connect with myself, Colin, or a member of our team so we can share more information about how we are supporting the independent consultant and small firm community. And we will be sharing an email following this to recap where you can find and listen to this again if you need to, and any further information if you need to connect or ask questions. Thank you for giving us an hour in your day, and hope everybody stays safe and is prepared coming out of quarantine.
Absolutely. All the best, everyone.